Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at one of the best battlers in the entire world who has returned to submit battles to the channel with an incredibly spicy team. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Boom20, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Boom20 has only ever competed in one Play Pokemon tournament, which he won, and he's reached #1 in the world on the Go Battle League leaderboards. And today, he's submitting a team with Aurorus, Roserade, and Lurantis. And while this is not a team that's recommended for climbing, he's able to pull off some pretty amazing plays. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. Tough lead in the first match, Aurorus into Golisopod. We see the save switch into Roserade, and with this new Poison Sting pacing, even though Roserade is down a turn, it's still able to outpace the Golisopod and connect with some early damage. X-Scissor is going to be shielded. Roserade is incredibly classy. Roserade over-farming to the max and playing to the CMP tie against Golisopod. Golisopod is going to give up the first shield of the match, and now a difficult choice to make. Boom is going to double shield, committing massive resources to the Roserade. Roserade bluffing a Leaf Storm that it does not have. Will the opponent respect it? The answer is yes, and now Boom gets to switch out into Lurantis. The opponent either doesn't have Ice Beam, or they were worried about a Leaf Blade landing if they tried to commit to it, so they only end up going for the Rock Tomb. But Rock Tomb is not a problem for Lurantis. Lurantis shrugs off the damage, able to fire off the Leaf Blade #1 and CMP tie with Leaf Blade #2. One thing about Boom, he's an incredibly precise mechanical battler, so you know, anytime we watch him play, that he's always going to be maximizing as much energy as possible. Leaf Blade is going to pick up the knockout onto Golisopod. In the back is Credilli, and with the immediate switch out, Aurorus is going to be able to get to the Weather Ball. Weather Ball into Credilli is going to hit for some pretty significant damage. Credilli returning fire with a super effective Grass Knot, but it's not enough. Aurorus makes one final Weather Ball, and that's going to be good night to this Credilli. They're getting KO'd, and despite a very rough lead, that's going to be a Game 1 win. Moving into game number 2, and there's a massive core breaker, oh my goodness, leading Aurorus into Malamar. Malamar, a huge problem for this team. We are going to see a shield come up from Aurorus, respecting the superpower, but it is going to be a foul play bait. Aurorus firing off this Weather Ball here, looking to try and grab a shield from the opponent, able to grab a shield, and now we will see a switch into Roserade. Roserade is not going to take this damage well. Sidewave is super effective. Foul play will hit for monster neutral damage. Roserade's getting farmed down. It's not even getting back-to-back moves. Forced to settle for a Weather Ball, and we will see a no shield from the Malamar. Can't really afford to bring back in the Aurorus, so we should see Lurantis hit the field, but the opponent still has 2 Pokemon they haven't even revealed. Lurantis hits the field, Malamar goes for a foul play. Now they're going to switch out into Galarian Weezing, and Weezing is going to be answered with Aurorus. Aurorus bluffing a potential Meteor Beam. It's not running Meteor Beam, but the opponent does not know that. We are now going to see a shield from the Aurorus. The opponent reveals Brutal Swing, which means they are not running Overheat. That's quite nice, as Aurorus will be able to tank a move pretty comfortably. Here the opponent ends up going for a Sludge. I actually don't know if a resisted Sludge does more there. I would have to double check that. But nice thing for Aurorus is it's going to make the back-to-back Weather Balls and pick up the KO. It's all up to Lurantis to try and sweep. In comes the Malamar in the back. Is going to be a Shadow Credilli, and this is honestly looking pretty good for Lurantis to sweep. Lurantis superpower, massive damage. Lurantis is going to throw 3 Fury Cutters and play to the CMP tie. Denying the energy on Credilli, that's going to pick up the KO. Can Malamar make a move? Oh no, Malamar gets a move. They're going to be able to knock out with the foul play. It's going to be a race. Aurorus versus the Malamar, and on 1 HP, Aurorus hangs on. What a win. Oh my goodness. Dream lead in the next match, Aurorus into Shadow Dragonite. There's a save switch into a Powder Snow Alolan Sandslash, and unfortunately this team does not have a response to it. Thunderbolt is going to be shielded up by the opponent, and they're going to return fire with the Drill Run. At this point, we will probably see a switch out of this matchup. In comes Roserade. Roserade will be able to apply a lot of pressure with Weather Ball Fire. The uncomfortable thing, though, is the opponent will potentially have the ability to desync switch timers and save this Alolan Sandslash if they want to. Weather Ball Fire fired at the Sandslash. Sandslash is going to commit the shield, and now the opponent's clock is up. So if they do want to pivot out, they will have the ability to do so, whereas Boom can't pivot just yet. In comes Dragonite, and that's immediately getting removed from the face of the planet by a Dazzling Gleam. Oh my goodness, one hit KO. Will they send back in the Sand Slash? The answer is yes, and unfortunately Sand Slash will get the farm down, denying that Weather Ball. This is going to be a difficult endgame. In comes Lurantis, and we see a beautiful switch out and a catch. Able to make the catch onto Auroras. Auroras catching the Ice Punch. Can Auroras make it to a move? Opponent switches out. They send in Jellicent. Jellicent taking super effective damage from the Thunderbolt, and now it's all up to Lurantis. Lurantis farming up, playing to the CMP tie here, and Lurantis has to hope that it's going to be able to outpace. Leaf Blade secures the knockout. In comes the Sand Slash, but Sand Slash gets the move. Can Lurantis hang on? It's going to be very close. Ice Punch, 1 HP, but the superpower cannot be reached. And unfortunately, that game will be a loss. Bad lead, but a familiar lead leading into Golisopod. The safe switch Roserade able to outpace and immediately look to put some pressure onto the Golisopod. Golisopod with a shield and an immediate X-Scissor in retaliation, and Roserade, as it did before, is going to commit the shield. Opponent now switching in a Shadow Kanto Marowak. This is a very strange Pokemon to switch in here. Marowak is going to be shielding up. We are going to see Roserade, unfortunately not able to make the Dazzling Gleam, only able to settle for a Weather Ball, but the opponent double shields. Unfamiliar with the Roserade counts. That can be an advantage of running an anti-meta Pokemon, as people do not have optimized strategies and know the exact counts, so that can make them make misplays. Aurora is just going to be used as a damage sponge in this game, just fully sacrificed to 2 Bone Clubs from the Marowak, and it's going to be up to Lurantis to try and 1v3. Lurantis makes the Leaf Blade on the CMP tie. That's going to be a KO onto Marowak. The opponent still does have the Golisopod. They're going to bring the Golisopod back in here, and Golisopod, this is a neutral Leaf Blade. That's a pretty good move. I think it's going to knock out. It does. In the back, they have a Diggersby, and Lurantis is just too spammy. Diggersby is not going to get the back-to-back fire punches that they need. Lurantis Leaf Blade is going to inflict very nice damage. Leaf Blade number 2 is reached, and Lurantis pulling off a wild endgame sweep. And that will secure the win. Moving to the next match, Auroras versus Diggersby. This is a pretty okay matchup for the Auroras, as of course, it's going to be taking resistant damage from quick attacks, and 1 Scorching Sands will not be enough to knock out. So we will see Auroras overfarming, trying to play to the CMP tie against the Diggersby. Weather Ball lands, Diggersby did choose to overfarm, and a very confident no-shield, understanding that 1 Scorching Sands, while super effective, will not be enough to KO. Another overfarm by Auroras, going for another Weather Ball. Weather Ball into Diggersby is going to be no-shielded. In comes Golisopod, and Golisopod now going to be hit with a Thunderbolt. I'm fully expecting a shield from the opponent. They are going to shield, and there's a pivot out. Boom cannot afford to concede a farm down here. Golisopod, just too deadly up energy. Roserade with a no-shield. X's are massive damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the Roserade's going to get 2 moves here. Only going to settle for the Weather Ball. That's a shield. Oh, I stand corrected. The high-rank Roserade hanging on. Fractional HP, making 1 final charge attack. And in comes Lurantis. And Lurantis has a shield advantage, which is so nice because there's an X-Scissor ready to go. In the back is Morpeko, and this game should be a win. Morpeko firing off the Psychic Fangs, but Lurantis just does not care about that damage. Farming up, going for the superpower. This is going to be good night to the Morpeko. They're getting 1 shot. All that's left is Golisopod, and we're getting a little bit of bad manners here. Going for the resisted superpower to KO Golisopod. Boom is winning in style in these battles. My goodness. We've got a cool lead in the next match. Auroras against a Shadow Piloswine. Shadow Piloswine is going to farm up 7 Powder Snows, and we will see a shield from Auroras. It is going to be the Stone Edge, so that would have inflicted terrifying damage, so that proves to be a pretty nice shield. Weather Ball no shielded by the opponent. There's a safe switch to Golisopod, but the biggest issue is this is now a Golisopod that does have a shield advantage, and when he switches, they are going to be up an entire X-Scissor, so he kind of has to let this go. The good news is, as we saw before, Roserade can actually make 2 moves. It looks like that may have been a CMP tie. That would be a pretty valuable CMP tie if so, and it is. That's very nice for Boom. The opponent should potentially go for a slight undercharge here, but they are going to pick up the knockout instead, and now in comes Lurantis. Lurantis going to go for the Leaf Blade. This will deny the opponent's energy unless they are willing to commit the final shield on Golisopod, and they are. So this will get the final shield of the game. And now Lurantis, no more shields to hide behind, is going to be met with a Jellicent. Lurantis has farmed up a ton of energy. Leaf Blade will not be enough to pick up a one-hit KO here. It will do quite a lot of damage. There's a switch into Auroras, an attempt at a catch, but amazing patience from the opponent. Surf, huge damage. That's going to pick up the KO. But Lurantis makes it to the Leaf Blade. This will deny the energy and KO the Jellicent. The opponent still has the Golisopod, and they still have the Piloswine. Piloswine threw a Stone Edge and switched out, so they don't have the residual energy needed to outpace. Leaf Blade is going to pick up the KO. The Golisopod is very low. It's going to be a race. Lurantis versus Golisopod. No, the Golisopod lives on 1 HP, and it's a heartbreaking defeat. Very tough lead in the next match, leading into a Shadow for Alligator. The save switch to Roserade. Roserade immediately met with a Shadow Hydro Cannon. This is resisted, but it's sure not going to look it. That is absurd damage. Oh my goodness. Poor Roserade showing its lack of bulk. And Roserade, without a grass charge move currently in use, forced to settle for a double Weather Ball. Auroras is going to hit the field, and for Auroras, this is a very easy no shield. One Earthquake will not be enough to knock out here. Oh, the opponent actually goes for a Stone Edge, understanding that they will need 2 moves. Auroras over farming to the max. Perfect counting again. Always trying to maximize energy. Now, the opponent is going to send in for Alligator, and for Alligator will have to shield, or they're getting knocked out by a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is going to be shielded. Lurantis hits the field. Lurantis will immediately have to give back that shield advantage, but it's traded it for several Fury Cutters of advantage. And in the back is a Shadow Credilli. Credilli definitely better as the regular. I've tried the Shadow, and realistically, you just honestly want the bulk. The opponent is going to be firing off a Rock Tomb. That's going to grab a shield from this Lurantis. And Lurantis, its lightning fast pacing, really able to punish Credilli in this matchup. Firing off another Leaf Blade. This is going to get the opponent pretty low. And there's the CMP tie, denying the opponent their energy. Leaf Blade is going to KO. Now it's a race. Lurantis versus Feraligatr. And the speed of Lurantis is just running over teams. Leaf Blade KOs. And it's just sweeping endgame after endgame. My goodness. Dream lead in the next match, leading into Jump Bluff. There's a safe switch into Feraligatr, and that will be answered with Lurantis. If the opponent is able to get a couple successful baits, then this game could get very uncomfortable very quickly. As Lurantis, it does have more bulk than Roserade. Oh, he's calling the bait here. And it's the Hydro Cannon. What a great call. The opponent, if they want to, can potentially double shield and Shadow Claw down, and that would be one way of forcing switch advantage, and it looks like they're going to do exactly that, as Lurantis got close to a move but couldn't quite get there. In comes Roserade. Roserade with another no shield. Oh no, the Ice Beam! That's a one-hit knockout, and now it's Auroras versus the world. Auroras shielding up the Hydro Cannon, but this Shadow for Alligator, it finally stopped baiting. And that was terrible news for the Roserade. Thunderbolt from Auroras will pick up the KO. The opponent sends out Lapras. And this is going to be a game with very careful energy management. In comes the Jump Bluff. Very nice job not letting the opponent catch. And now Jump Bluff, oh, we're seeing an undercharge on the Weather Ball. Because most Jump Bluffs are running double flying. Double flying means they're walled here. If they go for the acrobatics, it won't KO. And that was a perfect undercharge. Oh my goodness, what a play from Boom. He gets the Thunderbolt, big damage onto the Lapras, and Thunderbolt number 2. An energy management masterclass from Boom. Down goes the Lapras, and now it's Auroras' turn to 1v3 and sweep a game. We move to the next match, Auroras versus Shadow Galarian Weezing. This matchup very moveset dependent. Opponent gonna save switch out into Furret. Furret, of course, will have super effective Trailblaze for the Auroras, but Auroras will strike first and get some solid chip damage by landing a Weather Ball. Lurantis hits the field. This forces the opponent to go for Swift instead of boosting themselves up with Trailblaze. Swift will do quite a lot of damage, but Sucker Punch is not adding up a ton here. Leaf Blade is going to be shielded by the opponent, but Furret does not have a pacing advantage here. Boom opting to no shield, he's sacrificing Lurantis. It will be a Trailblaze from the opponent, and now Furret will be boosted. In comes Auroras. Auroras able to outpace as it's now on its 4 cycle. This Weather Ball is going to KO, and down goes Furret. Opponent sending back in the Shadow Galarian Weezing. Weezing has farmed up to an overheat. Tough call to make. Boom doesn't buy it. He no shields, and it's going to be a sludge from the opponent. Sludge does inflict some pretty solid resistant damage, but it's not enough to KO. Can Aurorus get there? Yes, it can, but unfortunately it does lose the CMP tie, and that will force the first shield of the match from Aurorus. Ideally, you're always going to want a shield for Roserade, so we definitely know the final shield is being saved for there. Roserade going to hit the field. Roserade farming up. There's an attempted catch. Oh no, Galarian Moltres is not going to know what hit it. Roserade has the dazzling gleam. That's a full one-shot. In comes Galarian Weezing. Had they got the catch, maybe there could have been a chance, but there's no chance here. Great prediction from Boom that they would switch out, and he's able to secure the win. Hopping into the final match, Aurorus versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash. This Pokemon is a problem, and we actually see a simultaneous switch out. Roserade into Shadow Feraligatr. Feraligatr just going to go straight for the Hydro Cannon because they know how much damage this can do. Roserade firing off the Weather Ball, but a great prediction there of just switching out instantly. Unfortunately, it does not let a second Weather Ball be reached though. Feraligatr exits this very healthy, now going to be answered with Lurantis. Lurantis immediately met with a move from the Feraligatr, and we will see a shield. Feraligatr just going to go for a Hydro Cannon. Nice overfarm from Lurantis. This will easily pick up the knockout, and with the extra energy if the opponent sends in the Sandslash, Sandslash is not going to have a great time here. A lot of Sandslash teams are Sandslash Double Water, and it looks like this is Sandslash Double Water as well, as in comes the Sandslash, and the only reason you'd send it in here is if you have something that's worse in the back. Opponent gonna try for a farm down that they do not get. Lurantis, too bulky, making the superpower. That's a knockout. In the back is Azumarill, and this is a really nice time to have Thunderbolt on Aurorus. Aurorus immediately met with an Ice Beam from the Azumarill. Ice Beam going to be resisted. That is not a lot of damage, trainer, and now back-to-back Thunderbolts from Aurorus is going to be game over for the opponent. They see the Thunderbolt, opponent sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the match. All in all, these were some extremely entertaining games, so many thanks to Boom for submitting this footage. Again, as I mentioned at the start, this is not a team I would recommend if you're looking to gain Elo. Boom did mention that he went slightly positive with this team at leaderboard Elo, but why I like showcasing his games is it shows the incredible precision in gameplay that allows many of these wins to happen. He's running teams where oftentimes he's running 0 meta picks and the opponent has 3 meta picks, and he's still able to even make the losses extremely competitive because of how precise he is with his gameplay. It really shows the power of what's possible with this game when it comes to, as you put in the work and get better, you'll start finding win cons in games where you didn't think there were win cons, and I think that's honestly pretty cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.